And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City, where we're losing our minds. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we've got FCS football week 5 to preview, talking North Dakota State versus Illinois State. I'm not going to use the weird voice I used in the first take. Wofford is playing Mercer, I think. That's one of the games. We're going to talk about it. Before we get to it, though, Sean, can you tell our listeners if they wanted to bet on it? There's a lot of FCS lines on Bet Online where they can do it.
Yeah, that'd be Bet Online. You take a little breather and maybe a lap. Get yourself under control. I'll inform the people about where they should be doing their sports wagering. Bet Online, it's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. If you think you know your stuff, get in on their $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week. Newsflash, I picked the Cowboys tonight. For your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K when the game's over, head on over to their online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with over 150 slots games. You're not sitting at a table with some 23-year-old hardo wearing glasses that came in with $60 trying to go all in on the first hand. You're playing your own game. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here.
I would argue that's kind of a power move. You just show up and put every dollar that you have on the first hand.
You think it's powerful for you and all your buddies to show up at the MGM at midnight expecting the one of them's going to be there till 5 and he's the first one out of money?
Well,
that's not great.
If you know that you're not going to exceed a certain amount, or you can't, if you hit that first bet, I think that is telling for the success of the night. Then you just don't waste your energy. You're out.
Poker hardos are like a different breed of gambler, whereas I like going in, placing a quick bet on roulette, and then seeing how the rest of my night's going to go.
All right, let's get into it. Let's stop talking about online betting. Let's talk about these games. First game that I want to jump into, North Dakota State versus Illinois State. Number 2 versus number 18. This North Dakota State team has, I don't want to classify it as a tumble, but that's going to be completely mischaracterized if I refer to it that way.
That's him over there, man.
They
I'm not saying
down
any tumble.
A tiny bit against ETSU after the big first game that they had against Colorado. They have since rebounded. Right now, they are running the ball at the prolific clip that we are used to, 200 rushing yards per game. But what has been odd is that they're allowing 151. They're averaging, this is where it's a bit uncharacteristic, averaging 6 yards per attempt for 242 passing yards per game. This offense is as good as we know it. Illinois State, on the other hand, they're a bit to be figured out. They also have their own talented rushing attack, averaging 205 per game, but also allowing 153. Paper sounds like a toss-up just based on the stats. We're obviously going to be pretty heavy on NDSU here, and I think one would assume that North Dakota State would be the favorite.
Yeah, North Dakota State is the easy favorite in this game. It's going to be, I expect it to be a good game. Illinois State has surprised in a lot of factors, which I'm sure we'll get to in a moment. But it should be, which North Dakota State are you going to be seeing? It's probably going to be the best version like last week, where they had 219 yards passing and 194 yards rushing. It's insane balance. It's not North Dakota State with year 1 Cam Miller, where they can't really move the ball downfield through the air, and they just have to really lean on the run game. It's, we're going to dice you up in an offense that can pass and run, and we're just going to score at wills, which is what they're doing. They have 12 rushing touchdowns on the year. They're averaging 3 per game, which is nuts. Even crazier, they're converting half of their third downs, Joe. 50% so far. How do you get them off the field if you can't get them off the field? You're going to have to win something. You're going to have to get a turnover. And additionally, if they do start marching on you, maybe you're hoping they're not that good in the red zone. Oh, wait. They're number 1 in the country with red zone scores at 21. I think they've only had to kick 4 field goals to the 17 touchdowns. It's a nuts offense this year, and I have to attribute a lot of it to Cam Miller's development as a passer.
Well, that's what's been most impressive is, and we saw this in the Colorado game, is that he looks like a new player. He's been around long enough. It's one of those things where it's so shocking that the more experienced you get at playing quarterback, the better you get at it. And he has looked more decisive. He's looked a lot more confident in his decisions. He is delivering the ball to his playmakers in space. I think that the offense is operating really effectively for the personnel that they have. Like it feels like they know how they can use the run to set up the pass and vice versa. Miller, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions this year is a fantastic stat line. It's not like he's thrown for 15 in the 4 games they've played, but he has a strong start to this year with 0 interceptions, which has been much cleaner decision making. Illinois State, where we come into this, where I think is going to be the separation point, because there are some statistical similarities. They both have played Power 5 teams to this point. They're allowing 7.4 yards per attempt. That kind of stood out to me, considering how easily North Dakota State is picking up yards through the air. They're able to do it on a consistent clip, and it's not like they're an air you out over the top type of an offense, but they're producing a lot of yardage per attempt every time that they drop back. They're connecting on all those attempts. There's not really a lot of incompletions. Going up against defense that seems like it's not getting completely burned, but is allowing an average that does cause for some concern. One random dumbass thought about Illinois State, there's always one. Wenker's Right is like the most Peaky Blinders name. I was like, is his name really Wenkers? Is that really what his name is? I'm going to find out that there's probably some really meaningful reason why his name is Wenkers, but that is such a Peaky Blinders name. I have to point that out.
Look, he would be the big mauler if he was in the Peaky Blinders, because he is a tank. He is he's a big running back that is, you could see it on film how big his lower half is. And I like that he got involved with a flea flicker last week. That was fun. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, but he's just going to try to run over you. He can do that.
205, man. He's big as shit.
He is a big running back. So he's someone you're going to have to keep your eye out for, and probably a big reason why Illinois State is the number 15 rushing offense in the country, averaging 4.93 a clip. That's insane. I'm sure North Dakota State's going to have that as a key focus. I think for Illinois State, this is about as deep as my analysis could go on their passing game. Tommy Rittenhouse ain't bad. That's my read on him so far.
He's one of their leading rushers, which has been key for their offense moving. Again, 205 rush yards per game and what they're averaging per carry.
Yeah.
It's because both these guys, Wright and Rittenhouse, have been playing off of one another well.
I think the stars on this team are in the defensive backfield, though. Keandre Jackson and Mark Cannon Jr. are studs. And, it might be my big dumb football brain seeing them in the all-red jerseys and seeing Jackson in number 3, but he looks like Buda Baker. Everything, his tackling, his tip drill ability, the way that he moves within the box when he decides to go fill it is fantastic. So I'm tricking myself. I'm Pavlov dogging myself every time I see that big red 3. It has to be Buda. But if he didn't play like Buda Baker, I wouldn't make that connection. So they have a legit safety that can cover and tackle, as well as Mark Cannon Jr. 6'3", we noticed it in their big FBS game this year. He's got great range and he's a thumper. Not afraid to hit, and he could give Bryce Lance fits all game.
As much as Illinois State has impressed so far this season, I do think that, and I know this is such simple analysis, this feels like an early game for North Dakota State to start building the resume, to start collecting the infinity stones of the ranked quality just wins that they keep adding and notching. They got the one ugly game out of the way. They got the ETSU game out of the way. I don't want to hear the overreaction to that. This is a great North Dakota State team. I'm confident in them. I think that they're going to win this. I think, again, what makes this North Dakota State team better than what we've seen in the past is because they are passing the ball at a level that we're not typically used to seeing.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the final game definitely leans North Dakota State in this. I'm hoping to see Illinois put out a performance that doesn't make me drop them, right? Because they're an exciting team. They could be a fun, good team in the FCS. But if they get blown out by 35, that's not a good look. If they stay feisty and it's down to the fourth quarter in this game, I think you have to really put some respect on Illinois State's name for the rest of the season.
Mercer versus Wofford, number 12 versus number 23. I've been a bit of a Wofford truther, but sadly, this is not going to be an opportunity for the Terriers to build momentum. They're probably going to get bounced after this game. And it all comes down to the Mercer defense, which has been elite so far this season. They're outscoring opponents 35-9. They're only allowing 32.5 rush yards per game, 1.2 yards per carry, which is absolutely nuts. 14 sacks this season. Their defensive line, their front seven is loaded with Carson Griffin, Marquez Thompson, and Braden Manley. And then on the back end, their secondary has also been really strong. 3 guys with 4 PBUs. Danaeus Miller, TJ Moore, and Donovan Watkins have been hawking. They've been breaking up passes. They have been the Legion of Boom out there at Mercer. Man, this is going to be a tough out for Wofford, who's had some momentum. They've had a nice start to the season. Might be kind of one of those situations where they get bounced from the rankings and then they get brought back in like 5, 6, 7 weeks or whatever because they finished the year strong. Just tough timing to run into this Mercer squad that has been eating up opposing offenses.
I'm very excited to discuss this Mercer defense, but can I complain about the Ivies for just a brief moment? Because this past weekend, the Ivy League started their season. And then when you're going through the defensive rankings, number 1 is Harvard, who's played 1 game.
Well, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count, but they're counting it. Mercer has right now the number 4 defense in the nation. They should be number 3. I know Dayton's up there. There's teams that have played the 4 games that are ranked. There should be an asterisk section in the stats that just has Ivy League only because they started 3 games later and the averages aren't all worked out yet. It's foolishness, but I'm sick of it. Harvard doesn't have 14 sacks in 4 games. Why are they ranked higher? They shouldn't be. Additionally, though, for Mercer's defense, they're like the opposite of North Dakota State's offense, where third down, I mean, no wonder these guys are doing so well, why they're so fresh. Opponents are 9 for 53 on third down against Mercer.
Not good. No bueno.
17% conversion percentage. That is nuts. Keep the big boys on the D-line fresh. Let the Mercer offense just start churning them out. Wind them down. Wind down the clock, fellas. That's all we need you to do because no one's going to run the ball on us. It's really a legitimate defense that I have to put respect on. And the Mercer fans that are trying to dunk on me for having Mercer at 15, give me a break. They're 15, and I think that's fair. And I told them that I was telling them on Twitter, if they beat Wofford, they'll be a riser. It's the whole strength of schedule BS because I guess Mercer isn't getting enough credit against Montana State. Every week I stir some new fan group up by ranking their team.
So they were using Montana State as a...
Yeah, Montana State 84 strength of schedule. It's been 4 games, okay?
Yeah, I don't that.
This is what football fans need to understand. It happens every year. The strength of schedule when it first releases doesn't matter. Atlanta this year was granted the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL by a clear margin. And what's happened? Oh, now the strength of schedule is super difficult because Steelers are good and everyone else is turning it around.
Yeah.
The strength of schedule preseason doesn't matter, and some of us are aware of that. Mercer being at 15 should be a blessing for you. Accept it. I was down on Mercer all year, didn't hear a peep. Now I rank them, and everyone's getting mad at me.
Yeah, I mean, it's also... Look, Mercer has had a strong start to the season, but like we can't act like beating Bethune-Cookman and Presbyterian are like premier wins.
Bethune-Cookman lost to a D2 school last week.
They also haven't played. Yeah, they haven't played a FBS opponent like most of these other programs. And like I get that you beat up on the Citadel and you beat up on Chattanooga, which have been underwhelming so far this year. So like let's contextualize the performance that they've had. Now this Mercer team though is still very good. Dwayne McGee running the ball super hard, 334 yards and 2 touchdowns this season. That offense is great. Where I have a ton of fear for Wofford stepping into this situation, going up against a team that has a great rushing attack. They're allowing 164 per game. Their run defense has not been great. They're having a ton of issues trying to slow down the run. And I know that their schedule has been, they've got an FBS team. Or do they have an FBS team on their schedule that they've played?
I know they just played William & Mary. I watched that game twice through. Wofford has a very interesting offense. Amari Odom is a quarterback I haven't yet figured out completely.
They have not played an FBS team.
But their zone read with him and Ryan Ingram is pretty lethal because they both have wheels. They're both kind of sneaky strong. So that gives them a dynamic running ability where you have to respect both of them. That spreads the defense out more. And their inside zone is pretty good. I think their interior 3 offensive linemen are strong and are gap sound. So they open up these nice holes for Ingram to just dot right through. And it's not just the run game. The only reason I think Wofford was hanging around to William & Mary is because Odom was opening up the game with a deep ball on the sidelines, just chucking it up. Why not? Keep on throwing it deep. I know Purdy had some big catches, and they use a lot of play action and rollouts. So I'm very confident Mercer is going to be able to be well prepared and have their keys and know that they have to have a guy on Odom all the time, know that they have to know where Ryan Ingram is. But the offense was shockingly diverse when I was seeing their play call mix.
Yeah, this is tough for them because, what you're talking about, that William & Mary, their resume is not sexy. They have not played any FBS teams, but the William & Mary game, keeping them as close as they did, it does open your eye for how Wofford could be a ranked team later on in the year. But, this is just such a tough situation to step into, to have to go up against Mercer this early on in the season when they're firing on all cylinders, especially on defense. I have faith that they're going to rebound. This just feels like a clear cut. There is a separation between these two squads. And Mercer has been consistently good over the past couple of years. They've always been a tough out for whoever they've gone against. This feels like one of the better teams that we've seen from them in the past 5 seasons. They look as good as advertised. That defense, again, I'm just going to keep coming back to it. If they step up and play the way that we expect them to, this could be a very long day for Wofford.
Yeah, the game definitely leans toward Mercer. I think unless Wofford does really start taking the top off because they're short to intermediate passing game, it's not all there. It's the short to intermediate work that they're getting is through the run. So if they start taking the top off, then that makes that Mercer defense a little more suspect. I don't really predict that's going to happen. I think I have to lean Mercer in this one.
All right, let's get to FC estimates, and then we're going to get out of here. Last week, I was 9 for 10. Oh, look at that. Your boy continues to almost be perfect. Mm-hmm. Your dumbass went 8 for 10.
Yeah.
On the season, 24 for 30. You are 18 for 30 because you stink.
Taking some risks. God forbid.
First game, Mercer versus Wofford. We just broke that down. I'm taking Mercer. Who you got?
I'm taking Mercer, Chalkmeister.
What?
I called you the Chalkmeister because you always pick chalk.
F off. Samford versus Furman.
Samford.
I don't know what Samford is this year, but I know that Furman's be disappointing. I almost took Furman to pick themselves up off the mat, but it keeps coming back to, hey, Furman clearly is dealing with some stuff. They're trying to get their situation figured out.
I think it could be a bumpy game versus Samford, who is trying to make a name for themselves. Oh. Wow. Let's just keep moving through.
Wow.
I'm not
all right.
Great right now. Falling apart.
Columbia versus Georgetown. I mean, I guess we got to go with the nerd. I mean, this is a nerd on nerd battle. I hate this. Columbia beat Lafayette, but I don't know. I never trust Columbia. Of all Ivy League teams, they've never been good. They play in a stupid little dinky stadium in the city. You want to go to a Columbia?
Why are you knocking Columbia now?
You want to go to a Columbia football game?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I'll go.
We'll be the 2 drunkest people in the stands.
I'd say
we're the only 2 people.
The only people in the stands that would have had a sip of a beer. I'll go with Columbia.
No, just the only 2 people in the stands.
No, come on.
All right, let's look a really quick Columbia football.
Hey Sean, I got a hard out tonight. Oh yeah, okay. Now we're looking up the Columbia football stadium capacity.
Yeah, look at it. Look at this piece of crap. Look at this. It doesn't
look any worse than
they ain't got shit going on over here. Look at that. They ain't got nothing. It's a cool view.
Yeah, what are you talking about? That's a fine stadium. It's not Wagner. Oh, Wagner caught a stray. I'm sorry, Wagner.
Sucks too.
I saw a lot of Wagner from college.
I've heard nothing but negative things about that Wagner campus, that Wagner stadium, the Wagner facilities. Only negatives. Awful. Columbia, we're both taking Columbia. Richmond versus Elon. I don't know. I'm not totally. I think that the Spiders are a good team, but as we know, the CAA eats itself. This is a get-right week for Elon that needs to reclaim relevance.
So you're taking the first stance, the first pick now? Yeah, I'll go with Richmond in this game. Elon's been too up and down.
I gave the first pick on the first one, you idiot.
Yeah, you're backwards the whole show.
Let me just quick grabbing the wheel over here, man. Quick grabbing the wheel.
You're driving the wheel. Your wheel is going off the road here.
The wheel's moving completely fine, and you're like, "Whoa, there's a bump! There's a bump!"
No, I'm not. There's a bump, guy. I'm saying Joe DeLeone forgot how to drive the car here.
Car's driving fine, man. I don't think anyone noticed that the car was having
done
any issues.
300 episodes of FC Estimates, and now we're going the opposite way.
I think that I'm like stunned that you're taking that. So, okay, who you're taking? Richmond?
Yeah, I'm taking Richmond in this matchup.
Idiots. SIU versus South Dakota.
I'll take South Dakota.
Apparently, I can't go first. South Dakota, I'm taking them. I think this is going to be their first big dub of the year in banged up SIU. We saw what they looked like against SEMO. We had a lot of corrections, by the way, on the war for the wheel. A lot of people pointed out that it's on the Mississippi River.
Yeah. Sorry about that one.
Yeah, who cares? No, we obviously care. I'm joking.
Columbia, now the wheel,
I'm joking. I want that wheel. I wonder how hard it would be to steal
the wheel.
When I was visiting my girlfriend this past week, in her dorm at Dartmouth, another Ivy League program that has a just disappointing stadium presence. Mm-hmm. There was, I texted you this. There was a picture. They have all these people that donated to parts of the campus. There's pictures of them, paintings of them framed all over the building. And the one that was on the staircase leading up to her dorm was of a guy who was in jail for securities fraud.
Oh, nice.
And I asked you, and I could not muster the balls to the courage to do this, but I really wanted to steal it. Could you? I think that would have been a great addition to the office.
You could have been sitting right there.
Yeah.
This fraudulent program with our nice benefactor rotting away. Well, yeah, you should have. Well, you thought they had cameras? You thought anybody would have?
I looked around, and I couldn't find any, and I was just like, you know what, this isn't going to end well. The mistake that I made is I announced it like 10 times that I was going to steal it to my girlfriend. So like, if I didn't say anything and I just took it, it would have been like, oh my God, somebody took this painting, and then we would have just moved on, and it would have been really funny. But because I kept, maybe
maybe that's why you didn't make the Ivy Leagues, because your first thought of a nice piece of art sitting in a stairwell is let me rip it off the wall. And Rhodey didn't have one piece of art in this stairwell, just kids committing infidelity. That's all that was going on in Rhode Island.
There's a difference, though. I wanted the painting because it was of a guy who was in jail for securities fraud. I think that's hilarious.
I got that point of it. I'm just saying, I think the Ivy League knows how to keep their nice
Rhode
things.
Island paintings.
I'm not saying
we had no good Rhode Island. There was also probably no real wall art.
You didn't want to get a Mr. Butterfield painting, whoever all these people were.
I did. Who was it? I think it was Dick Hurt. There was the one guy that played for the Rhode Island football team his picture was framed somewhere, and his name was Dick Hurt. That's the only one that I would want.
Oh, I don't even know.
You never saw the Dick Hurt picture?
No, I didn't see the Dick Hurt picture.
Oh, he's a URI legend. You wish you could have been Dick Hurt.
Are you 12 years old? Are you?
That would have been sick if we had a picture of Dick Hurt. If we stole that from the Ryan Center.
Okay, we got some stuff planned for Rhode Island this year that we're happy to announce.
If I find it,
I'm
taking it. I don't want to get invited back.
Then do it. You walk it back to the train. Then
I'm gonna, when we're invited onto the pregame show, I'm gonna politely ask. There is a picture of Dick Hurt. I would like to have it.
Do you think any of those dunderheads even know about that painting, or is it just you?
It's not a painting; it's a picture. There's the wall of inducted individuals. I don't know how hard.
You're taking his picture off the Hall of Fame wall?
Yeah.
No,
because his name.
You're a child. What game are we on? Yeah. Hey, Wheelman, how about you get us on the road? We've been driving through a cornfield for the last 5 minutes.
Speaking of cornfields, North Dakota State versus Illinois State. There's no cornfields there. Who are you picking?
North Dakota State in this one.
I'm going with North Dakota State as well. Stats say otherwise, but we've seen the film. We've seen these teams play. North Dakota State is the better squad. Maine versus Albany. Who are you taking?
Albany, kind of on fraud watch.
Yeah.
Maine's not really on stud watch yet, so I'm going to go with Albany in this game.
Yeah, I don't think Maine's not the team to knock off Albany, but crazier things have happened. Howard versus Princeton.
I'm going with Howard.
I got to take the Jersey boys. Give me Princeton. Montana versus EWO.
How did this state get that school? Unbelievable.
Yeah, they don't have any Ivy Leagues in Virginia.
Yeah, you talk down to UVA and Virginia Tech and William and Mary.
Shit about UVA
and the University of Richmond.
Who gives
Are you kidding me?
Who gives
you can maybe knock Mason. You can maybe knock ODU. You wouldn't have gotten into any of them. Dick eat.
You don't know that.
What's the game here? What are we on? Montana, Ewu? Montana.
Yeah, no, we were on. Said Howard. Yeah, Yeah, well, okay. Talking about taking us off the wheel. I hadn't even announced that game yet. Montana versus Ewu. Who are you picking?
Montana. You did announce it.
I'm taking Montana. Idaho versus UC Davis. I almost took UC Davis here. Who are you taking?
Idaho in this matchup.
Give me the potato thieves. Give me the Vandals. Apparently, soon to be FBS program.
I mean, that's a bit of a Freudian slip there by the programming department.
Yeah, what idiot. I bet it was our boy Chris Hammond. I bet Chris Hammond had a gap. I think he might have hit something. He might have sent an email he wasn't supposed to.
So he's doing double duty with Idaho and the Mountain West.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think that his Idaho representation, I think that I don't know what happened here, but I'm willing to bet it was his fault. I bet that his alter ego had something to do with this.
Oh, that's very possible. Well, if we wanted to hear from the alter ego or Chris Hammond to defend themselves, we're doing the hack bag tomorrow. Yes. Send in a question, please, dear God. I'm not going to beg. Please, dear God, send in a question to the Twitter. I sent the post.
Not get any?
No, we're getting blanked. Or a voicemail, 201-834-4308. We have one voicemail calling us a bunch of mean names that I'm excited to play. And if that's the only thing we have, then that's the only thing we have. You'll hear it tomorrow. Don't worry.
Wait. Is it sarcastic?
Yeah, kind of sarcastic, but this could have also been, hey, I'm going to let you know. I see one team isn't necessarily ranked number one on everyone's polls, so he could have been burning off.
You need to play this for me now.
No.
I need to hear this now.
We're fine.
No, I need to hear this now.
We will play it tomorrow during the hack bag.
Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio at Hack City Pod. We'll be back at the hack bag. We'll talk to you folks later.